Mr. Buffett and Mr. Munger. My name is Sahej. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm currently a freshman at Rutgers University. You knew quite early on that you wanted to be investors, and you've obviously been amazing at it. What advice would you have for someone who's still trying to figure out what they want to focus on and find their calling?
Well, it is a very interesting question because I was very, very lucky in that I found what I wanted to do because my dad happened to be in a business that he wasn't interested in, but they had some books down there, and I loved my dad, and I'd go down and read the books, and they interested me. And, you know, I'm glad he wasn't a professional boxer or something, or I wouldn't have any teeth left or anything. It was accident, just totally accident. But I do think you know it when you see it, and it doesn't mean you can follow it. I would tell the students, as I wrote in the report, find out what you love doing it. You spend most of your life doing it, and why in the world would you want to be around for a lifetime working with people that you didn't like unless you had to, which sometimes happens, and just work for whomever you admire the most. And I gave a talk at Stanford one time, and somebody showed up at Tom Murphy's office, I think, a couple of days later. That person was right. And of course, it's what I did when I got out of school. I wanted to work for Ben Graham. I didn't care what I got paid. It didn't make any, it just is. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then I pestered him for 3 years, and he finally hired me. And then I found somebody else that I'd even rather work for than Ben, who happened to be myself. So I've been working for myself ever since. But I had about 4 bosses in my life. Down the Lincoln Journal, name slips my mind at the moment. He's a wonderful boss. It was Cooper Smith at J.C. Penney's here in Omaha, and they all were wonderful people. But I still preferred working for myself. And of course, Charlie and I both worked for my grandfather, and we just didn't find it that interesting. I don't remember why'd you ever decide to go to work at the store, Charlie? Charlie worked there in 1940.
I worked just for the experience of working. I didn't need the money. My father gave me an ample allowance, and I also had a private business. So I was kind of working as a lark in your grocery store.
12 hours a day?
Yes.
For a lark?
Yeah, as a lark, yes.
Do you consider that a good investment of your time? I'm just looking back on it.
Well, I'd never done it before, and I wanted to have a little of that experience, and I wasn't going to do it very long.
That sure as hell wasn't the reason I worked.
Well,
but
I could give that young lady the advice, figure out what you're bad at and avoid all of it.
Yeah.
That's the way Warren and I found our profession.
Absolutely. We
failed at everything else.
We worked at everything till we found the ideal employers ourselves. And that was something we really admired.
Yeah, I know. Warren said work for somebody you admire. The only one he knew was the one who was shaving.
Self-employed.
You could see when he was shaving.
But it isn't bad advice. It isn't bad advice. Who wants this? If they've got an option. If Charlie went into the service in whatever year it was in the 40s, and he didn't really have a choice of who he was going to work for. And as I remember, it didn't really work out that well who you worked for, Charlie, did it?
Well, if you stop to think about it, the two things that neither one of us has ever succeeded at. One, we've never succeeded at anything that didn't interest us, right?
Right.
And we've never succeeded at anything that was really hard where we didn't have much aptitude for it.
Yeah, and we've been doing whatever we please for
Yeah,
60
it's
years
just-
now. I mean, and we get, we have fun in our way. And
I'm just amazed. You'd think if you're smart, you could do things that don't interest you well, but you can't.
well, I've certainly got a lot of examples in my own case, but we won't get into them here. And we will go to Becky.